there, this is Maria from English Without Fear. Today I'm talking to you teachers about a people skill that I did not learn until 4 years ago, and that is empathy.
English Without Fear, where you can learn to speak English naturally through listening to stories.
A teacher who commented on my video about my biggest mistake ever wrote a few days ago to say how overwhelmed she felt, and a contributing factor to that overwhelm is the classroom teachers in her elementary school. So she teaches English to English learners who are first and second graders. And the classroom teachers are stretched thin. The other English language teachers seem self-absorbed in their own routines. And she is feeling overwhelmed by the enormity of the responsibility and the lack of help and understanding from the other teachers. So I've been thinking about this, and I want to share the beauty and value of empathy. So, what is empathy? Empathy is a people skill that often gets confused with sympathy. Let me tell you what sympathy is. Somebody says to you about their day or their problems, blah, 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 and you say, "Oh, that's terrible, you poor thing." And that might be all. But if your ego takes over, you might say, "Oh, that's terrible. You know, that happened to me once, and this is what I did." And then you take the spotlight off of her. You stop listening to her, and you just go on about yourself and what you did to solve the problem. That really does not help, and it leaves the person who is having the problem, leaves her feeling like you don't care, and she's even more overwhelmed or even more isolated by the problem. So what is empathy? Well, first of all, empathy is not offering a solution unless asked. But empathy goes like this. Let's say your colleague looks sad, looks tired, and you say empathetically, "Oh, are you having a hard day? You look a bit worn out, or you look a bit overwhelmed." And then you shut your mouth. You wait for the person to whom you're offering empathy to respond. When they do respond to that, you then follow up with another question meant to find out some details which show that you care. Again, no solution. So let's just say, "Oh yeah, I just feel stretched thin because I have all these students and I can't possibly help them." So empathy says, "Oh, that must be hard. Do you feel discouraged, or do you feel unappreciated?" You're asking a clarifying question, and you then shut up and you let the person talk. So what does offering empathy do for you? Because I'm talking to you, teachers, who might be feeling overwhelmed, or you're facing an impossible job of teaching your students. What empathy does is it builds goodwill among those around you. And that's important. This teacher who wrote me says that the classroom teachers are critical of her. So I thought, that's a good clue. Who do you offer empathy to? Empathize with people who criticize you, who might be harsh with you, who might be a bit cold to you. I have found that when people are critical or they come across as mean-spirited, that's a cover. That's the presenting symptom for what's really going on inside of them, and they're probably feeling scared, discouraged, worried. So a good way to disarm them is to offer some empathy. So I would suggest offering empathy to those colleagues of yours who criticize you. It might work for parents too. If you have a difficult parent who comes to you for a parent conference and they're negative and they're thinking that you're the problem, listen well and be empathetic and ask some follow-up questions. That will calm them down and show that you care. And then that in turn helps you. Who else could you offer empathy to besides these colleagues who don't seem to care about you and are contributing to your overwhelm? I think students. Now, the English language teacher who wrote me has little first and second graders who don't have much English, so they don't have the language skills yet to explain what's going on. But you can offer nonverbal empathy by a rub on the shoulder, a smile, offering a sticker or a flower. Why not have some flowers on your desk? Something that shows you're making the connection. Or you can offer some body language, as in, calm down. Let's breathe and calm down. Model some deep breathing with your nonverbal English language learners and let them copy you. That might be something that makes them feel better. And what's all this offering empathy to other people? What's it going to do for you who are feeling overwhelmed and burdened and wishing somebody would be empathetic to you? For one, when you hear back from somebody else a little bit about their fears and discouragements, you get an understanding of other people's problems and the burdens they carry. That might give you some perspective about your own. So there's that aspect. Second, you're building goodwill among your neighbors, your colleagues who are neighbors, your students who are neighbors, your parents who are neighbors, maybe even your principal. How about proactive, preemptive empathy as a way of building relationships? Then finally, the wisest king in the Bible, in the Old Testament, was King Solomon. You've probably heard about King Solomon in Proverbs. Well, there's a proverb, Proverbs 11:25, and it goes like this: "He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed." And I have found that true in my life. And empathy is a good way to refresh others and therefore, by extenuation, yourself be refreshed. Might not solve your problem, your particular problem today, but I think it will go a long way to reducing the feeling of overwhelm. So tell me what you think. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss another one of these helps for teachers to feel less overwhelmed, then go to my website, www.englishwithoutfear.com, and sign up for my newsletter. When you do, by entering your email address, not only will you get my newsletter with some encouragement and some tips, then every time I create either a teaching video for teachers or a Learn English video, I'll make sure you get an email with the link, and when it's the English language content stories for learners, you also get a transcript plus some tips for how to use the content videos in your classes. Well, this is Maria from English Without Fear. Have a good week.
Thanks for watching. For questions or comments, here's my email